This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Hello and welcome to another inspiring episode of A Different Kind of Woman. A Different Kind of Woman leads by example. Now, every parent has probably heard it at one time or another, you're going to spoil that child. Yet what do we really mean by spoiled child? How do you know if your child is spoiled, and what can you do to avoid spoiling him or her if you haven't done so already? On today's show, The Making of a Spoilt Brat, we will be discussing this and much more. And joining me to discuss the making of the spoiled brat is the marvelous Maria. Hi, Maria, welcome.
Hi.
And we have another face on the show, Liliana. Liliana is joining us for the first time today.
Hello.
Welcome to the studio, Liliana. So glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
I'm glad. Now, can you tell our viewers what makes you a different kind of woman?
So what makes me a different kind of woman is I'm very perseverant. So I'm the type of person, doesn't matter if it's a difficult moment, if it seems like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to stick it through till the end. So throughout these shows, I will give you tips exactly on that. How to be perseverant, how not to give up. So, yeah.
So today we're discussing the making of a spoiled brat. And we're discussing how children have been spoiled or are being spoiled. But in your opinion, do you think children nowadays are being more spoiled or any more spoiled than they were before? So are children nowadays, for example, being spoiled more than our parents were being spoiled before? What's your opinion on that?
I do believe, yes, definitely, because when you think of all the brands, all the names, everything that's out there today, we didn't have that, even in our time, let alone our parents' time. So I think, yeah, they're more into brands than anything else now, and there's always a competition out there. So, and a lot of children, because I think what happened is that they started off that way. I'm not saying all children, mine definitely weren't anyway. And so they want to carry on. Because imagine now if you're so used to going to, you know, to school with a certain brand, and then suddenly you're going, with this, I don't know from what, I'm not into brand myself, but you've kind of like gone down a bit, yes? Perhaps
Like
the
that.
parents can't afford it.
Yeah.
Now, they don't want that. The children don't want that. They want to continue. They want to continue with Nike, whatever it is, yes? So, I mean, imagine now, what do you think? A child that's already knows that the brand that he likes, this is the trend, this is what... How would that child behave now if he cannot continue with that lifestyle? So I think that's where children become spoiled.
What do you think, Liliana? Do you think you were more spoiled than your parents were?
So, okay, I am the youngest here. So thinking about it, it's just been a few years ago when I was a teenager.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 23.
Spill the beans.
No, that's fine. I'm 23, so it wasn't so long ago.
Yeah.
And yes, I think compared to my mother, I could say I not spoilt, but I had probably more conditions. But in
just sorry to cut you, but when you were growing up, just so we can fill in the time scale.
Yeah.
Did you have mobile phones at the time that you were, let's say, 5?
No, I didn't.
So at the time that you were 10, were the mobile phones around?
They probably were, but I didn't use it. I was speaking to Maria about this. My thing, when it was like, oh, Lily, here's a treat, was we're going to the seaside. That was the biggest treat for me. We're going to the seaside. I was like, yay! But then again, I am going to be honest, in today's generation, I think the issue, I can't blame the children. I can't blame the kids, because if they're being given something constantly, then you're creating that habit of them wanting it all the time. So I know some people say, oh no, these children these days. Okay, but who's giving it to them? It's not, they don't just wake up and go, I want a phone, I want an iPad or something like that. But in honesty, I have to say it's true that in today's age, children are more...
I suppose what we have nowadays are parents that are a lot busier than before. So
True.
time that they have available to kids is not as much as maybe parents before used to have their time. The mothers before used to have time available for their children. So they provide a lot of entertainment and a lot of distraction for their children that can end up spoiling them. But yeah, that's our opinion. What about people on the streets of London? We're going to watch a video now. Priscilla took to the streets of London, and we're going to see what the people on the streets of London think.
Are you spoiling your child? Most child development experts cringe at the term spoiled child. New research points to cuddle children growing up to be healthier, less depressed, more empathic, and more productive adults. This research also puts an end to an age-old debate, and you may now tell your mother-in-law you cannot spoil a baby by picking them up whenever they cry, although you can possibly spoil a child. Here's a checklist to tell if you have a spoiled child. Is your child never satisfied? Does your child leave you to tidy up after them? Does your child refuse to share? Do you have to bribe your child for them to behave? Does your child ignore you? Well, if the answer to any of these is yes, then you may have a spoiled brat in hands. Let's find out what the public think. Why do you think it's tempting to spoil children?
I think it's tempting because once you are a child and you want your mothers and fathers to allow you everything that you want to do, and then you want to provide the same thing for your children. So you don't want them to miss out on anything, and you want them to have a nice life. So probably that's a reason why, yeah.
I'm not a parent myself, so I'm still a kid, but I'm a big kid because I'm 44 years old. For me to have my child, I like to spoil my child, but I like to teach my child that life is completely not what it seems to be, because everybody has their own ambition, and to love your dream is to be yourself, if that makes sense.
I just think it's the thing that's done these days. Parents just think it's normal to give children what they want. Yeah.
I think it's because parents want to look cool to their children, so they try and think, oh, I get my child on my good side by spoiling them.
Because it's easier, it gets them to be more agreeable. What do you think parents should or shouldn't do to prevent their child from becoming spoiled?
I think there should be a straight line where things are allowed and things aren't. Obviously you have to allow your child to do some things and be on its own, but you shouldn't let that be too soon. Maybe when they grow older, but not too soon. And probably they have to see the line between them being teenagers and younger, so yeah.
Well, it's not what they should and shouldn't do, it's just kind of what they're exposed to, where they live and things like that.
And boundaries, I think. If the parent just lets the child do whatever they want, then they'll just be spoiled. But boundaries, that's good.
They should say no, and they don't always need to give an explanation. It's okay to just say no. That's it this week from the streets of London, and it's back to you in studio.
It's interesting to see how the opinion differs from those who are much older and those who are much younger. The different age groups had different opinions. But what do you think, in your opinion, we can do in order not to spoil a child? What makes a child become spoiled?
It's so many things, I was thinking you can't just say a straight answer because there's so many things that can spoil a child. But in my mind, in my opinion, I think what spoils a child, I don't think the problem is all the time giving, because my mum used to give to me. I think when it becomes a problem is when you start to affect your child's, let's say, character or personality. For example, they've done something wrong. They've done something wrong. They should be, just taught, corrected, exactly. But then instead of being corrected, maybe the parent might just go, okay, don't do that again. They take it very lightly, and then they allow them to do the same things, go play in their phone, do the same thing. So the child doesn't understand consequences. So then I think from young, if the child already begins like that, it creates them, you know, I think it may create them to become a spoiled teenager, a spoiled adult.
Yeah,
so
I think we saw in one of the answers something that's very relevant to nowadays. One of the ladies mentioned that it's, if you, I mean, put yourself in the shoes of the parents, right? They come home tired, they come home from a busy work day. When you get home, I've had those moments where I really want to get home and just switch off, right? But then when you're a parent, you may not have that luxury. So you go and you still have to be a carer. You have to take care of your child. You have to raise your child. And sometimes, like she said, it's much easier when they're just agreeable.
Yeah,
so if they do something wrong and you have to correct them, sometimes it's not easy. Maria, you work with children. To discipline children is not easy, right?
What it is a lot, Moti, is that is with parents also, less so in nurseries, or if you're working with children, because there's a lot more discipline there. And in a children's setting, you're not on your own. So
True.
But as a parent, especially a single parent, you're on your own. And so I think a lot of times it is bribe. I mean, as you mentioned, mother comes home and she's tired, she's exhausted, and all she wants is just to have just that little time for herself. Okay. Now the mother would say, look, if you just sit down for 5 minutes, just give me 5 minutes. Look, I tell you what, you'll be able to watch TV. Oh, I'll give you this, or I'll give you that. Now, that's what the child is going to get used to. Okay, if I make a lot of noise, if I do this, if I do that, and then mommy's going to want me to sit down. Mommy's going to want me to do this. So, and I'm going to get rewarded. And that's how, that's such an easy way for a child to start being spoiled, because they know all they have to do is just mess about a bit, Or you go and clean your room. Okay, you'll be able to stay up for an hour later. So simple things like cleaning your room, or just sit down for 5 minutes. Mummy or daddy needs just 5 minutes to ourselves, simple things. It doesn't always take huge things for a child to become spoiled. Little things, and that's what we have to be very careful as a parent, especially as a single parent.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's hard to learn to bring a child up to parents. But now when you're a single parent, now that is really hard.
Yeah, parents, it's best to think of long term. Short term, it may be quite relieving for you not to have to deal with an issue and just give in to your child, give them what they need. But long term, it bears other consequences. We're going to go for a short break, but don't go away. We'll be back with the making of a spoiled brat. Now take a look at what's coming up next on the show. Next, we're going to find out how spoiled we are in a personality test.
I didn't grow up with any toys at all, unfortunately.
But how about you? Did you get things that you want? Would your mom kind of lean in to do your will?
No, because I don't remember any toys. The only thing myself and my brothers, my sisters used to play with is actually marbles.
On today's show, The Making of a Spoilt Brat, we've been discussing how parents can spoil their children. Now, for a bit of fun, let's find out how spoiled we are in a personality test. I'm not sure I'm ready to take this test. I'm not sure I'm ready to reveal how spoiled I actually was, because I think the test will show that I was actually very spoiled. So are you ready to take a test, ladies?
Yes.
Oh, me too.
Are you ready to reveal how spoiled you are? For the personality test, we're going to find out how many of these statements are true or false. So you were given many presents as a kid.
No.
True or false?
False.
Definitely false.
True. I think that was my only thing. I used to get presents. I couldn't even count the amount of presents that I used to get. So you usually end up getting what you want no matter what.
No, not no matter what. There was always a consequence. There was always you know, if you did well, yes. If you didn't do well, then you can do better. That was me.
I didn't grow up with any toys at all, unfortunately.
But how about you? Did you get things that you want? Would your mom kind of lean in to do your will?
No, because I don't remember any toys. The only thing myself and my brothers, my sisters used to play with is actually marbles. Mm-hmm. So that was the only thing. But to be spoiled, no. I mean, I don't ever remember being spoiled.
So let me think. I would be with Lillian on this one. I would never get everything that I want all the time, only if I did better or if I did good, if I did well. So now if someone offers to pay for you, do you always say yes?
What I will do, I'm going to be honest, if they really are insisting, no, Lily, okay, thank you so much. Why
so
not?
that says yes.
Exactly.
But I
Why
will
not?
always be polite to say, are you sure you don't want to half it? If you want to half it, I don't mind. But if they really, Lily, oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
How about you, Maria?
Why not?
Yeah.
Next time, maybe I can pay. You know, so yeah,
I'm telling you guys, I am spoiled because I will definitely say yes. Because I'm thinking, if the person is offering, they know what they're doing. Lily, like Lily has offered me a lot of things. I'm like, don't expect me to say no, Lily. Because if you offer, I'm going to say yes. So I normally say yes. But of course, you do take into consideration other people, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get bored if no one is around to entertain you. Are you someone who can easily entertain yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, I like my own company sometimes. I think it's good to have that time for yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, funny enough, because I'm just recently married, and I do enjoy my own company, but I am honest to say I do prefer having someone with me, like if a friend's there, like I like to talk. That's me being honest. Like if I'm watching, oh God, did you... Because when you're by yourself, you're like, you know, you kind of laugh by yourself. But I do like to have someone with me. Like
So
I can entertain myself, but...
That's a no.
Yeah.
I would say it depends as well. There are times that I prefer my own company, but most of the time I like being around other people. And most often than never, I always end up being the center of attention. So now we have another one. You are a very picky eater. How does that have to do with the
maybe
personality test?
No, I think it does, because maybe those who are really picky, it's like little things maybe might get on their nerves. Like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to eat that. No, but
so are you a picky eater?
No.
Lily?
Guess what, guys? I've eaten a snail. And it's yummy.
Okay.
But mine doesn't want to go there.
I'm not picky.
But mine doesn't want to go
not.
that far. Would you say you're a
sorry.
picky eater?
Actually, I am in a way, because
So, yes.
I'm quite fussy of where I eat.
Okay.
So you're picky about the place, but not about the food.
No, not really about the food.
So you
I mean, I
wanna
wouldn't
make
eat
sure-
snails.
That's
Sorry,
interesting.
no offense, but I wouldn't
problem.
eat snails. But
Yeah.
I'm very picky on where I eat.
So you want to make sure that the place is safe.
Yes,
And
definitely.
you're not gonna get poisoned, food poisoning or
Exactly.
things like that. I think that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I think the purpose of this is in terms of taste and what you will. I mean, let's say that you would get it from the safest place ever. Would you still be picky with what you eat? I think that's the purpose of this question, is to know, would you pick the food that you eat? Are you picky with the food?
Yes, I would be picky with my food. I mean, like I would. You mentioned eating snails, and if I saw snails, I would not touch it.
Little one, guys. Okay,
You know,
not huge.
I wouldn't touch it. So I think with me, yes, I would be picky.
No, I'm not. I probably will eat anything, and I will never say no to anything that I haven't tried first. So for me to say no, very rarely at the occasions that I do, I will say no after I've tried it. So even though the snail like puts me off and I'm thinking, oh, snail, I'll probably try it first and then say no, yes or no to it. So if you don't get your way, you're very difficult to deal with. Are you someone who's very difficult to deal with when you don't get your way?
I don't think I don't think I am. I really don't think I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've never kind of like demanded things from anyone. So I think that kind of like makes a lot of difference for me, because I've never been that kind of like demanding person. So I think I would say definitely no.
I'm usually, I have this concept in my mind that if I didn't get it today, there's a reason. Maybe I can get it tomorrow, or do you know what I mean? I don't fuss about it in that. Okay, if I can't get it today, that's fine. That's okay. But I don't. Like, I work hard within myself not to, get all emotional and stuff like that. Like, if I see that happening, because sometimes we are human, it does that does come, that emotion. I go to myself, Lily, come on. It's not like that big of a deal. Like, you can get over it. So no, like, I mean, I'm honest to say that when I was younger, I was kind of like that. I didn't like, oh no, but why? I'll try to question and find out the reason. But obviously, I'm still young. But as I've, been growing, maturing, I've just come to understand that sometimes you just don't get your way. But that's okay.
Yeah, that was me too. I think younger, being single, I would be very difficult to deal with if I didn't get my way. The silent treatment, lock myself in the room. But now, because I'm married, and I think marriage kind of makes you, helps you relate with people, helps you, not to think of only your way, helps you to adapt to other people's ways. I think I'm different now. Now, if it's time for you to talk, do you hesitate to cut into a conversation?
Maria?
If it's time for you to talk, you don't hesitate to cut into a conversation, yes or no?
No, I don't hesitate. No, especially...
So you cut in?
Oh, yes.
I'm shocked about that one, Maria. I wouldn't have put that one on you.
Yeah, I would have thought,
I mean, even sometimes on the show we do, because if I think that, oh no, hold on a minute, why would you say
feel strongly
that?
about something?
Then if I feel strongly about something, yes, I have to put. I mean, I'm not saying that it's something that I would always do, but if I believe in something that I strongly, strongly believe in, actually, I would cut in. I would.
So you would make your way to you would make your way into the conversation to make your point. What about you, Lily?
Oh gosh, I don't like being the middle one, but I do agree with what Maria's saying. But I have to say this because
no.
Please, we need
yes
to
or no
understand.
answer.
No, but just we need to understand.
No sitting on the fence.
No. I will say it's a yes or no, but I have to say this because before. I'm going to be honest. I used to always get in trouble for always cutting people when they were speaking. And I used to get told off, not in a rude way, but I used to, Lily, don't do that. So
who would tell you off? Who would correct you?
Even my mom. Friends sometimes, they'll be like, Lily, you cut me off again. And I'll be like, oh, sorry.
Lily's mom, Lily's friends, thank you for the service you've done.
Then with that, I've learned to just, okay, there's a time and a place. So sometimes, even though I want to cut that person off, I just say, let them finish. Let them finish. So, is that a no?
Lily.
I would say that's a definite no.
No.
I would say it's a no. You don't cut in. No, you don't cut in.
I don't cut in.
I would agree with you actually. Well, I'm someone who's in training, so I'm going to have to be on the fence on this one as well. Because I think I'm in training. I think that I am aware that it's not right and it's not always, a good thing to cut in. So you have to kind of allow people space to talk. And I kind of take it into consideration that I'm very strong opinionated. So I try to pull back when I'm around other people. But if I would think of something that I would do naturally, it would be to cut in. But I'm training myself not to because I'm aware that we shouldn't. So we don't have time for more questions. Oh. Now, if you've answered, how do you find out whether you're spoiled or not? If you've answered mostly yes to those questions, then you are a spoiled brat. Okay. If you've answered mostly no's to the question, then good for you. You are someone who is not spoiled and you are balanced. I think I answered mostly yes. But I knew that coming into the test anyway. So we're going to take a short break, but don't go away as two interesting women will be joining us after the break. Now take a look at what's coming up next after the break. Next, Sandra will be speaking with kid coach Naomi Richards and we'll be welcoming former spoiled child Kiran Kaur.
When you've got a child who doesn't feel great about themselves, okay, they're not going to feel empowered. When a child feels great about themselves and they see that they're able to make changes, then that will empower them. When you've got
I didn't realise I was spoiled until I was a bit more older, but obviously like my cousins I used to grow up with, they used to say to me, oh, you're so spoiled, like you always get your own ways, your own thing.
back. So far on today's show, The Making of a Spoilt Brat, we've been discussing what spoils a child and whether we ourselves are spoiled. Now, Sandra met with kid coach Naomi Richards to get some expert advice. Find out what she had to say in this video.
Hello, I'm here with author and kids coach Naomi Richards. How are you?
All right, thank you.
So we want to ask you, how do you empower children to solve problems themselves, and how important is that?
Oh my goodness, it is so important. We are not going to be with them 24 hours a day. And what we want them to do is we want them to give them the skills so that they're able to become adults, more resilient, be able to stand on their own 2 feet and understand situations that they're in and overcome obstacles that they have in everyday life. So how do we do that? Well, you know, it's all about self-belief and having a healthy self-esteem as well. If you can get a child to believe in themselves and feel good about themselves and empower them to go, you know what, actually, you know what, I'm a great person. I can offer great things to other people. And actually, I'm able to do this, this, and this, and I'm fairly resilient. Then they will feel great about tackling new opportunities. So it's all about feelings. When you've got a child who doesn't feel great about themselves, okay, they're not going to feel empowered. When a child feels great about themselves and they see that they're able to make changes, then that will empower them. So in my work, for instance, a child will come to me with an issue. If that child has a toolkit and has ideas and strategies of what they can do to overcome that issue, and they go off and they actually do it and they see that it works, well, that can really make a massive difference to a child. They can see that they've made a positive change in their life. And you know what? They'll want to do more of it.
So you've written 2 books, and I just want to know a little bit more about them. Well, not only myself, but the viewers as well. Just tell us a little bit more about these books that you've written.
So about 5 years ago, when I'm working, I have notes for every single child, and I had about 10 files, like really thick files of all these notes that I'd taken of, you know, all the issues and problems that I'd worked with children with, and all the solutions, all these different crazy ideas that I'd used in my sessions that had actually worked. And I thought, what am I doing with these files? Actually, you know what? I could collate all that information and put it in a book. And I wrote the Parents' Toolkit, and that came out in 2012. And it's essentially a toolkit for parents. So, and it covers all the important things in a child's life, in their primary lives. And then last year I brought out another book called Being Me and Loving It. And that's really primarily for the education sector, but it's also for parents as well. And it's 29 stories that you can read with a child if you're a parent at bedtime, but also you can read and use as part of PSHE in the classroom. And it covers all the things that a child may be worried about in their primary years. It has a nice story, and that has discussion points and activities that you can do with the children.
So we need your help here. So in terms of parents' techniques, what can you advise parents to do in order to prevent their children from becoming spoilt?
Big question. Okay, so in this day and age, I think we can tend to spoil our children with not necessarily love, but actually, you know, gifts and time, for instance. And when I say time, we can allow our children to do things like spend more time on a laptop or a device or something. So that's kind of spoiling them in a less direct way. And we can also obviously buy them presents and indulge them really in whatever they want. We hear a lot of more tantrums happening. You know, I want it, my friends have got it. There's a lot of peer pressure for them to be, you know, watching certain programs on TV and on Netflix and, you know, having more money to go out with their friends and to just do all these, to really want more freedom, really, and to have everything that their friends are having. And I think it's very easy for a parent to say yes rather than to say no, because when we say no, we don't actually get the reaction that we want from our child.
So then, Naomi, tell us, what do you think the difference is between spoiling a child rotten and giving them the correct love?
I think, I mean, love comes from inside, really. It doesn't come from, you know, the latest piece of kit that's going to wire into your TV for them to then spend, you know, 4 hours, 5 hours a day on gaming. So I think, you know, we need to be careful that what we are doing with our children is, as I say, connecting and spending time with them and showing them that we love them through lots of kind of less materialistic ways, you know, whether that can be, you know, a note in a sandwich box, or picking them up from school as a surprise and say, hey, you know, let's go to the park and I'll buy you an ice cream or something. You know, that kind of stuff, you know, the spontaneous stuff, the kind of low-level stuff that doesn't cost, you know, loads of money. Even just cooking their favourite dish for dinner, you know, and, you know, I don't see that as spoiling. I see that as love.
Thank you very much, Naomi, for this fantastic interviews. Great tips. I'm sure parents out there that are watching this can really, really benefit from this. And I might just actually get that second book for myself. And presenters, it's back to you.
Well, thank you, Sandra, and thank you, Naomi. Now, joining us in the studio to share her perspective as a former spoiled child, we have Kiran Kaur. Welcome, Kiran.
Hello.
Glad to have you back in the studio. For some of you who are regulars, you know that Kiran she's a familiar face on our set. Glad to have you today. Now, Kiran, something that Naomi mentioned, which I found very interesting, was the different ways that parents can spoil children. You can spoil them with love, you can spoil them with gifts. How were you spoiled as a child?
I think materialistic things, like especially when I was younger, I was very like wanting the latest gadget, latest toy that was out at that time. But then also at home, she would try and overcompensate things, like things that I wanted, things that I wanted to eat. Like I wanted that day, and I would throw a tantrum if I didn't get it that day. Or she made something like she wanted to make, but I didn't want that, and then she had to make something else. So in those sort of things, I was quite spoilt in that sense.
And when did it first dawn on you? When did you first realise that you were spoiled?
Obviously, when you're younger, you don't realise you're spoilt, because I was the only child. So you know, I just thought, you know,
that makes a lot of sense.
So I think for me, I didn't realise I was spoilt until I was a bit more older, and then but obviously like my cousins I used to grow up with. They used to say to me, oh, you're so spoiled, like you always get your own ways, your own things. Like I was always, as I said, the materialistic things, like at the time I would get it straight away. And, you know, my family would say, like, why are you making your mum buy all these things that, you know, she can't afford these things, like, because my mum wasn't working. But I wouldn't care. I was just like, no, because I want them. I think I deserve them. So, and I think at that time, I obviously now realise my mum was trying to overcompensate because I was the only child, and because she had mental health. So for her, she felt guilty. So I think she was trying to cover that with things in general. Even though she couldn't afford it, she would just try and make a way. She would not ask my family, oh, can you get that for Kiran? You know, it was Barbie dolls. I remember my uncle used to like buy me for Christmas, like Barbie dolls. And I was just like, okay, how come my uncle knows this? I don't tell him that. But obviously, because my mum just felt that, oh, because she deserves it, she needs it. You know, I think that's when, as I got older, I realised I was very spoilt.
I was going to ask you, Kiran, how did you go from someone who was spoilt to now standing on your own 2 feet?
I think, well, because, as I said, because my mum had mental health, I think that made me mature quite quickly. So from the age of 11, I was already a young carer from the age of 7. But by that time, when I reached age 11, I realised that my mum is like, she's buying loads of things that I don't need, that I don't, like, she's struggling. So I just, like, because I became a carer, so I was like, had to make sure that the bills are paid. So I started to realise, okay, these materialistic things, you know, when you're young, like, because I was just going into secondary school at the time, so I knew like the latest designer clothes, like all the, you know, my friends are buying designer clothes, latest trends, And I felt, no, I don't need it. You know, that's when I did realise, okay, I don't need these materialistic things. That's when I started to stand on my own 2 feet.
Okay, that's good. So yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
isn't it?
say.
That's really interesting. And it's interesting also that you mentioned that you became a carer at a very young age. And it would mean that that is the end of, you know, being spoiled, getting your way. So how did you, how did you learn to fend for yourself? Because you were giving to your mother. You know, you were giving. But what about yourself?
Like I said, it was because I had to mature quickly. I have to grow up quite quickly at that age. I just felt for her. So I started working at a very young age, even though it was, you know, and you're not supposed to be working at the age of 16. I tried to, like, the pocket money that she used to give me, I told, like, Mum, just keep it for the bills. And she just couldn't understand why all of a sudden I decided to not make her buy all these things. Like, I remember she bought me a bike to surprise me because it took a long while for her to save up for the bike. So, and I was like, Mum, I don't need these things. And she goes, no, you're my daughter. Yeah, you're my only child. So she did feel like she needed it. But I was like, look, Mum, I don't need these things. Like, you know, I can fend for myself. I can, like, I don't, you know, need all these things. And then obviously as I got older, I realised, I explained to Mum, like, look, thank you for, like, all the things you tried to, like, buy me and that, but I really don't need it. And then as you do get older, you just realise that, you know, all these materialistic things you just don't need.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Kiran. I think it helps viewers out there learn to identify, at the very least, whether or not they're being spoiled or not. So what is the feedback that you're getting? Kiran used to get feedback from her cousins that she was spoiled. She never used to think she was, but her cousins, people around her would always comment that she was being spoiled. So what has been the feedback that you have been getting from the people around you? Are people around you complaining that you're a spoiled brat? So that not definitely, but that likely means that you are. And once you realize that you are a spoiled brat, what do you do? Put yourself in the shoes of your parents, right? Put yourself in the shoes of your parents, like Kiran started doing. She started understanding her mom. She started understanding the other side of the coin, which is paying the bills. Where is this money coming from that's buying all these things that I'm asking from my mom? Where is this money coming from? How hard is she working? You know, and what else has she to sacrifice in order to give me the things that I need? So Kiran has definitely given you a lot of insight. Thank you so much for being with us, Kiran. Thank you so much. So we're going to take a short break, and after the break, we'll be continuing more with the making of a spoiled brat. And here's a sneak peek of what's coming up next after the break. Learn how the Greeks relax at Safos Meze.
Tell me that the people today, they're running behind their career, they want to make money, whatever, they don't have time. I think they can find easily time to look after their health.
Welcome back. On today's show, The Making of the Spoilt Brat, we've been discussing a lot. And one of the things that we delved into, that we mentioned earlier on, was that for a modern-day parent, a modern-day mother who has to worry about her career, you know, put a lot of effort into her career, coming home after a busy day, raising her child, being present in her child's life, can be a bit of a burden. I mean, I wouldn't want to call any child a burden, but it could be quite hard, quite exhausting on the mother. So how can a mother who is a modern day career woman and a mother at the same time find that balance?
Well, I think for me, you know, I'm a mother, but I think the best. I've always found the best way to you know, to have balance is making sure that you need a plan. Believe me, I know it's hard, but you do need a plan. You need to have that me time. There's got to be that me time for yourself, okay? Because otherwise you're not going to be able to do anything else. Your work, your children, everything else that you have to do. And then you always have to set that time apart just for you and your children. You know, in one of the videos we watched, the lady was saying something about taking your children to the park, interacting, even if it's just a simple, okay, it's me and my children now. Now, let me find out what happened at school. Let me find out what is going on. So there's always going to be that me time and that me and my children. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. It's never easy, especially if you have, you're a working parent, you have so many things to do, but it's about planning.
That's true. So I was going to say, when my mother became a single parent, one thing that I realized about her, and I think loads of kids kind of realize this, your parents always wake up early. And that time, oh, you're making so much noise, stop making noise. But I realized that was my mum's way of making herself, to be disciplined. She would wake up early in the morning, get things ready. And then I remember when she would come home, things were already clean, if that makes sense. So when she would come, my mum wouldn't stress so much. Like, she wouldn't be like, oh. But one thing as well was that she started teaching me when I came from school, okay, Lily, so take the chicken out of the fridge. So I would help her. Do you know what I mean? So say, Lily, take the chicken out of the fridge, or just make sure you dust this. So we kind of became a team, which I think this could help parents is, okay, if your child's still a toddler, that doesn't work as of yet, but maybe waking up early, setting things up, that could help. But just from my own experience with my mum was that the fact that she would teach me to do little things when she would come home. She would come a bit more relaxed.
So your mom would plan ahead, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But as Maria said, as a mom, it's important to take time to yourself, look after yourself, and go out and have fun with your friends.
Yeah.
Ever wondered why the Mediterraneans are so calm? Our beloved Anne and Sandra went out to find out how the Greeks do it at Sappho Meze Bar in Clapham. Let's see how they got on.
We're here in Clapham to try some Greek cuisine at Sappho Meze Bar,
aka the friendliest restaurant in town. And we're going to see just how the Greeks keep a calm temper.
Follow us in.
Luis, what are we going to eat today?
Well, I give you a variety of starters, which is really, really healthy. Every single plate is going to be healthier than baby food.
Oh, wow.
You will feel the difference before you leave the restaurant. And in every plate, there are more than 7, 8, 9, in some cases 12 different ingredients. That means you get nearly all vitamins you need. And for main course, you have chicken with olive oil, extra virgin Greek, lemon juice and oregano.
Do you think that Greek people are calmer than British people?
Is their diet also, as you know, and as you can see every morning, everybody have a cup of coffee from different firms in any case. And they are running to go to work without having a breakfast at home. If you leave your house without having a breakfast and you are looking to buy ready breakfast and ready coffees and ready cup of teas and whatever, forget it. Now, you will tell me that the people today, they are running behind their career, they want to make money, whatever, they don't have time. I think they can find easily time to look after their health. During 60s and early 70s, it was slogans by BBC, eat Greek for better and longer life, or eat your greens to become ancient like the Greeks. But at that time, the Greeks was the healthiest nation on earth. Today, they are average. Why? They eat what you eat, ready meals.
Always had an interest to know, how did smashing plates come about?
Well, we go back probably around 100, 600, 700 BC or even before. It was to show an appreciation to the chef or the lady who cooked the food. When the food was really amazing, something very, very special, and it was very difficult to have the same quality again. At the end of the night, they used to break the plates like this, not to smash it. That was the way they break it.
Well, children at home know that that tradition is ancient, so don't go smashing your mother's plates. And one thing that he mentioned that is part of today's culture is ready-made meals, right? We see that that's a solution for many mothers, but yet he challenges, or at least his meze bar offers an option that's healthy for mothers, which is freshly prepared food. So if you're looking for, if you're looking for places to go, places to feed yourself and your children, that's an option to look for, because many times mothers are so tired. Mothers, like you mentioned a solution that your mother had, which was to prepare ahead, but some don't, so get home tired, and ready-made meals are a solution for many of them. So he's challenging you not to follow that tradition and to be in the habit of preparing meals, and if you need help, he's there to help. How glad is that? So how do you think parents can, strike a balance between taking care of themselves and taking care of their kids?
You know, it is, as I said, it's a lot to do with planning. And I know, as I said also, it is very hard. But it's very important for you to, okay, for instance, how can you make time? Like your mother did, like I always do. My mother did the same thing as well. You know, always know what you're going to, take things out from the day before, you know, and start planning, even in your mind. Okay, and I still do that. Even though, I don't have my children around me. They're grown up. They don't need me to be running around them, basically. But plan what you're going to cook the next day, what can you do? And also, I find as well that he mentions something about always running and not having the right, the protein, the vitamin. I don't like fast food. I am not a fast food person. I always like to cook fresh. I can cook 7 days a week. And that's what I usually do. So it is important to teach your children that, look, it's not about fast food, There's got to be a time when you sit down with your children and you have a meal together at the table, Let them see the different things that you can, and they are learning at the same time. You learn, Liliana. You learn from your mother, and I learn from my mother, So this is what family is about. So this is what food is about. This is our time now. Again, we're talking about I have seen children, I've worked with children, I still work with children, but I see children, the parents are trying to feed them and having to run around them. I don't believe in that. Food needs to be digested. You can't have a child running around. So, again, I'm going to go back to the same thing, plan. Plan what you're going to do. Plan what you're going to have. Even if it means that, okay, once a week you're going to be going out with your children and have a meal. Now, where would you want that meal? Would you want that in a fast food, greasy, or would you prefer to take your children to a place like what we just saw? Healthy food.
But definitely, I agree, Maria. As a mother, it is your I think not even your second, your first most important job that you have. I know that as parents, you cannot ignore your career. I know as parents, part of being a good parent is having a good career in order to provide for your child. But that should not come at the expense of raising your child. Exactly. So more important than providing material things for your child is providing good values for your children. And that can only happen when you spend time with them. Children are influenced children learn by influence. That's why when they have celebrities, they follow the celebrities, and the influence of that celebrity impacts their lives. So children learn mostly by influence, and the most important influence that they have needs to come from you, and you need to make that time. You need to spend that time to model for them the good values that you want them to have as adults. So instead of thinking short term, think long term. Yes, you may be tired today. Yes, you may be exhausted, but that's a time for you to influence your child long term. That's the time for you to shape how your children think. That's the time for you to instill values in your child. So don't put that time off just for a few minutes of rest, because those few minutes of rest can mean a lot for your child. They can make a huge difference for your child. So you as a parent, do take parenthood as your most important job. It is your most important job, and as much focus as you give to your career, you should give to being a parent. As much emphasis, as much drive as you give to your career, you research, you always keeping up with what's new in your career, in your field. You're always looking to inform yourself in your field. That should be the same in terms of parenthood. Take it seriously. Take it as your most important job. And we hope that this show has helped you to reach that conclusion. Now, tell us your thoughts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or by emailing us at comments@dkw.me. And join us next week for another exciting episode of A Different Kind of Woman. Until then, it's goodbye.
This programme is brought to you by UCKG.